So what I have here is the Samsung A07, and this is the latest from Samsung in the A0 series lineup. It's been a while since I reviewed an A series phone, and I think the last one I reviewed was the A05s. So I'm curious to see what Samsung has been up to. Since then, they've released the A06, which I'm glad I skipped because the A06 was basically the same as the A05. So now, first up is the unboxing. So let me get my cute unboxing knife and then let's see what we get in the box. And I feel that we should stop doing unboxing phones from the big brands because we all know what we get in the box. You get a Samsung A07, you get a USB-C cable and your SIM ejector tool. I have the green variant here and it's also available in black and white. The green looks good and I personally like the new camera layout. It looks similar to what we have on the latest iPhones. The back is plastic and of course at £78 I think plastic is just fine, although the price might vary based on your region. What I did not like about the A07 was the notch. It still has the old U-shaped notch and it makes the A07 look cheap and old. It would be in a better position to compete with the other phones in this price range like the Redmi 15C if it had a hole punch notch. You do have a 90Hz refresh rate and a 6.7-inch 720 LCD display. The screen on the A07 is fine. It's nothing too crazy and the colors pop out very well. You will notice the slight drop in pixel quality if you are coming from a higher spec device. The viewing angles are not so great and the colors get washed out when you tilt the phone at a certain angle. But since most of us are using our phones head on, so the viewing angles shouldn't be much of an issue. And overall, I think the A07 screen is just okay at this price point. The A07 is IP54 dust and water resistance. Now, just don't go dropping the A07 in water because it's just splash resistant and not necessarily water resistance. So you will be fine with light splashes and using the A07 in some light rain. The A07 has a 50 megapixel wide lens and a 2 megapixel depth sensor, and for the selfie camera you have an 8 megapixel camera, which is the same specs on the A06 unfortunately. And as usual, in good lighting conditions you get okay photos. Don't expect anything top notch from the A07. It's a budget phone and it's going to perform like a budget phone.
So this meter is in the front facing camera on the A07. As you can see, I'm not impressed. The sky is very blown out and the video quality is nothing to write home about. So I'm not impressed with the front facing camera. Let me know what you think about the mic on the A07.
Now, a lot of people weren't happy with Samsung last year because they used the same chip on both the A05 and the X06, but that has changed with the A07. It now has the Helio G99 and the base model has 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage space. Now, 64 gig of storage space by today's standards is too small, so I was quite shocked to see that Samsung decided to go with 64 gigabytes as the base storage. If you're thinking of getting the A07, I recommend you get the 6 gigabyte RAM model with 128 gigs of storage, because on the 64 gigabytes of RAM storage, the system files are already taking a lot of its storage. You do have an SD card for expanded storage, which is fine, I guess. That being said, it's not going to be the fastest because it's still a budget phone. It's not going to play games at the highest frame rates, but it will get your basic tasks done. One concern for me though is Samsung is promising 6 years of software updates, and even though that sounds fantastic, I do believe that phones age over time and they get noticeably slower. And I don't think the A07 has what it takes to handle 6 years of major software updates. But I guess we'll find out in 6 years. So I did try playing some Call of Duty on the A07 and it wouldn't get me a match. It just froze on the matchmaking screen most of the time. So I wouldn't recommend the A07 for gaming if you are mainly going to use the A07 for playing games. The A07 has a 5000 milliampere hour battery, and that's the standard for budget phones these days. The A07 will last you throughout the day, no problems. But as usual, it all depends on how you use the A07. With average use, you should be fine and it will easily take you throughout the day. In case you do need to charge it, you do have 25 watts charging on the A07. So I've got to say that Samsung has been playing it safe with the release of their phones this year. And although I'm not happy with the notch on the A07, the base 64 gigabytes of storage, and no AI features on the A07, Samsung has made up for it with the Helio G99 per 90 Hz refresh rate and 6 years of software updates. In my opinion, if you're looking for something to get your basic tasks done, then you can go for the A07. Just go for the ones with 6 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. However, if you're looking for something more than the A07, then I personally wouldn't recommend the A07. So those are my thoughts on the A07, and as usual, do let me know what you think in the comment section below, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.